Good morning, everyone. My name is Brad Furr. I'm with GayDesertGuide.com. A short bio about me appears on your screen right now in just a second. And I want to welcome you to the 5th annual Aging Positively Reunion Project Zoom conference. We have a full day planned for you today, and it will culminate with a very special guest, Javier Munoz, a longtime HIV survivor and star of the hit musical Hamilton and also of In the Heights. So first, let's take a quick look at today's agenda. That will come up on the screen. So we hope you'll stay with us for the entire day today. Our 12:30 p.m. lunch break doesn't mean that you'll be leaving us. You'll actually be staying with us today. It allows you to bring lunch in and to hear the 2 breakout sessions. And again, that will be followed by our full afternoon of programming, culminating with our very special guest today. The Aging Positively Conference was conceived from the realization of an emerging population of PLWHA who are now living longer due to successes in viral treatment and suppression. And for the first time in the epidemic's 40-year history, PLWHAs now face issues specifically related to aging and long-term survival. Health and social services providers, researchers, peer groups, and media partners throughout the Coachella Valley organized this annual public conference. In 2020, Aging Positively joins forces with the Reunion Project to organize today's virtual event. So what is the Reunion Project? It hosts an annual day-long summits across the country to bring together long-term HIV survivors to recreate a lost sense of community, as well as provide information to help them not just survive, but to thrive as they grow older with HIV. This year, we're delighted to join forces with the Aging Positively Conference, created by DAP and other community partners to create this joint Aging Positively Reunion Project virtual conference for the HIV community. So I would like to thank our community sponsors first today, and those include Borrego Health, Desert AIDS Project, Eisenhower Health, hosting us here today, Gay Desert Guide, Heart PS, HIV and Aging Research Project, Jewish Family Service of the Desert, Let's Kick Ass Palm Springs, PALS, Planning Ahead for LGBTQ Seniors, and the LGBTQ Community Center of the Desert. And also a big thank you to our conference sponsors who make today's event possible. Those include Eisenhower Health, Gilead, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Napo Pharmaceuticals, ViiV, and Community Walgreens. All right, let's review some important housekeeping items as we get going today. Here's the housekeeping slide, and so you'll see some notes here. Your audio is being muted now that you're logged in. If time allows, we will open up for questions and discussion. We ask that you use that chat feature to ask questions, and we'll try to get those answered as time allows. It's under the More on your iPhone or iPad, or you'll also see it as a chat function if you're on a laptop or a desktop. Our meeting today is being recorded for future use. By joining today, you are giving consent to be recorded. Please leave your video off today, and there's a little button that says Stop Video. Most of our programs are going to last approximately 55 minutes in length, and they will include some time for questions or discussions. Some of our programs are 25 minutes in length. Those will be a little tighter in terms of getting to questions or discussion. All right, if anyone has any technical questions during the conference today, please reach out to our online hosts via chat. And I think you can see most of us right now: Brett Klein, Jeff Deneen Jones, Guillermo Biro, Sue Lowe, Franken Totley, and Chris Christensen. All right, hosts, please wave and say hi to everyone today. All right, let's get started. A 30-year survivor of HIV has been leading retreats and workshops for the HIV/AIDS, LGBTQ, and at-risk youth communities for over 25 years. Recently, Greg Casson started the Honoring Our Experience retreats for long-term survivors, which, like his other work, explores the healing power of the community in the early days of the epidemic. In those early days, Greg founded the Healing Circle and the San Francisco Center for Living. And he's led conferences nationally with HIV and AIDS, with AIDS, Medicine, and Miracles is the name of that one. And he's also a granddad, and so Greg, we welcome you this morning.
Hi, everybody. This is Greg. I'm going to ask you, Brad, is there a way to turn everybody's video on? I was expecting that we were going to get a chance to introduce ourselves to one another. I love to throw a wrench in the middle of an elder's learning the Zoom. Let's make it as difficult as possible. I'm so proud of us old people. We learned the goddamn technology to survive another pandemic, okay? So everybody, we can be so proud of ourselves. Let me see the faces. I know. Oh, Jill. You're lucky to have Jill, everybody. Am I screaming or does it sound okay? If it hurts, hold your ears. Okay, I'm seeing faces. There's human beings. I was like, oh my God, these queens are all gonna hide behind their glamorized still shot. This is it, right? Okay, look at, I love it. I know so many of you from, hi Brad, I know so many of you from coming down there for like the past 3 years. Everybody's hair looks good for 9:30. We're all looking great. I see the whole second screen has only still shots. What is that from? I'm gonna start calling you out.
We are waiting to get you. We are.
So it seems like, hi Michael. Michael Bongiorni, hi honey, how are you?
Good.
And I know you, other Michael, I know you too. And Mr. Klein, I see you there. You've helped us all the time at the center, that place, that big building. Thank you, all the planners. So wave, oh, don't make that. Someone's changing the layout here and giving me only a row of 4 people. One, Christopher with a fabulous mask. He's showing off his mask. I need this, I want the gallery shot. We'll take my 30 minutes to get everything in order.
Hey,
and then
Greg,
I'll come in.
You will need to change that on your end.
No, it doesn't allow me to. Someone changed it on me. I'd already changed it to gallery and someone changed it.
All right, we'll see if we can make that happen.
I want the gallery view. It only has the one line, a thicker line, and then a double line, which means the straight up and down. And I would like the gallery view. Let me see. Thank you everyone for coming on this screen. I'm still waiting to be able to see everybody.
So Sue or Jeff Taylor, you should be able to do that from your host capability, I believe.
Whose voice was that?
That's Brett.
Oh, there you go. Hi, hon. I see you.
Repeat.
He said Jeff or Sue is able to do that. So as we're figuring that out, I just want to do a brief introduction of myself. Hi, Jeff. Taylor with your mask. Thank you for being so thoughtful to remind us all that masks work and that we're living in a very unusual time where somebody thinks they don't work. Who else? We're still looking for that gallery view, but I'm going to do a little introduction of myself. So like you said in the introduction, I've been positive since like 1985. Was in was living in Europe at the time. I came back, I got tested, and then I just went on a journey like so many of us. When we see the screens, I want to ask people to like show of hands and stuff and ask some questions. So been positive for like 35 years. The work that I've done has always been, which Jeff and his cronies, all those science guys, they would say that I was the touchy-feely guy, which if we were here, I would be slapping Jeff Taylor right now. But now what I love is that in 2020, we recognize that all this stuff that we call touchy-feely is actually right now is completely science-based and science-proven. That the incredible power, and when we get a chance to see Jill, I want to like be able to see Jill, that the incredible power of creating community that we really like. I just even think of, I want to be able to see a show of hands of the folks from Palm Springs. The incredible importance of a sense of community, a sense of belonging. That, hi, Matt Sharp. Don't worry about getting dressed, honey. You just come in your little robe and look at this. It's like Norma Desmond here. God bless her. So are we going to be able to fix that, Jeff Taylor?
So Greg, you have to do it on your end as the viewer. So everybody, now on a laptop, you go to the upper right-hand corner and put your cursor there and it'll say view, and you click on that and you get the option of seeing gallery, speaker, or full screen.
But that's what I had, and it was changed by your team because I don't have the option that has all of the tiles. I only have 2 tiles on top of each other, which means it's a vertical tile, and it was taken.
Greg, just click on it and it will show up.
No, I've tried all 3. There's a 1 line, and then there's a thick line, and there's a double line, and it doesn't give you the gallery view anymore. It just gives me 5 of you in a row. It was on, and then it went away.
We didn't do that on our end, so that's, I'm sorry, we can't, that's controlled by the viewer.
Okay, then someone else talk.
Bounce your cursor up to the upper left-hand corner and see if the icons suddenly appear.
No, I'm doing it right now.
You clicking on it? Because, yeah, this is Jill. Because the same thing happened to me, but if you just click on it, it shows up, it emerges for a choice.
I'm doing my 3. Ah! Okay, that's right. It is an elder crying out in pain, looking for his goddamn community. And I see 4 people. So I'm going to go on as if I see all of you. So, so I want to do a welcome. This is frustrating because, oh, guys. I want you to look, Jeff. I want you to see if they, okay, now I just got something else. Someone, I think you guys did something for me. I'm gonna find this. Oh.
Yeah, we haven't, I don't think we can do anything on our end. We've got a media expert in the room and she's not coordinating this, and the way what you see is controlled by you on your device.
No, it's not. Because I had it, it was all gallery view, and then it switched off.
Well, let's go ahead and, sorry you can't see anybody, but anybody speaking will show up in your 4 or 5 person view.
Okay. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to do, I just want to give a chance for, so there's a power in this coming together in community, and what I really wanted to hear was, I wanted to hear from people who moved to Palm Springs to be a part of community. And I would love to hear somebody who moved, who made this effort to come together in community and to be a part of a community because of their sense of isolation in other places. So I just wanted to ask, would anyone, either one of the planners or something, I would like someone to just acknowledge what it has meant to come together and to be a part of community where we have shared experience. And so if anyone from either from the planning committee or from just a person from Palm Springs who wants to share a little bit.
This is Jeff, and I'll go first, and then let people know why there's an echo. If there's anybody else in the room with it. Okay, good. If people want to share, you can raise your hand by going to participants, and there'll be a raise your hand button on most devices. Again, if you're on a cell phone, all bets are off. So if you want to raise your hand, or just raise your hand if you want to talk like this. And those of us on gallery view will try to unmute you and let you speak. But yeah, I moved here from San Diego, and you know, I used to visit here like many of us did back in the 90s and early 2000s, and just realized it's an incredible sense of community here. I never really liked the quote unquote gay ghettos and like West Hollywood and Castro, but it was very different here. And there's this amazing gay, LGBT, and HIV community, and I just fell in love with it and decided to make it my home, and for almost 20 years now. Anybody else want to share?
Can I talk?
Rich, yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I moved to West Hollywood in 1983 for the sense of community. And at that time, it was age appropriate and activity appropriate. But by 2015, I was no longer age appropriate for the West Hollywood community. And so I basically did the same thing. I moved to Palm Springs with my husband to be a part of this community. And this community is indeed age appropriate, highly welcoming. And as I have found, becoming involved in HARP, going through some of the same life issues, particularly health-wise, that we are.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Richard Bass, go ahead if you're unmuted.
Yeah, after I retired in '99, I took a little refresher with a therapist to deal with some anxiety that I was having. And I mentioned one day that I was thinking about moving to Palm Springs, and Michael was his name. And so he said, oh, well, it'll be old. It's easier to be older in Palm Springs. And so I slapped him. And then 3 years later, I moved to Palm Springs, and I'm very happy being part of the community.
Anyone else?
Alan Krug here.
Go ahead. Alan, did you want to go ahead and speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I moved here because I was diagnosed in 1969, and I was married, and the marriage ended at that moment. And I was put in an assisted living home, and then a friend of mine who lives here had me come out. I would get on the Metrolink station at Cal State LA, and he would pick me up in San Bernardino. So I came out a few times for Gay Pride, Halloween, the Electric Light Parade, you know, stuff like that, and realized I had lost everyone. Everyone that I knew in my life left me, and that I felt the warm welcoming and safety here. And so when the court let me out of the home, I moved here in January of 2016, and I haven't regretted it one bit.
Thank you. So I'm going to just chat for a little bit about it. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing that. And I want to also acknowledge that we have women on the call. We have women on the Zoom here, and we're all together. And so I just want to acknowledge the women here and welcome the women, do a special welcome to the women. And just to acknowledge the women and to acknowledge that for the positive women, we just recently had a friend contact me who is a long-term survivor, a young woman who has been positive since birth. And I guess I just want to shout out to the women that come and find community with us, because it is so challenging to be like feeling like you're floating out on your own. And I just want to give this special welcome to women that come to find community and to find brotherhood and sisterhood together with us, because it is so important. The challenges that women face with stigma and with disclosure is so strong. So I was really touched. I just did a thing with Jeff's group in Palm Springs a few weeks ago, and to see all the women on the call, women that were long-term survivors that I had never met before, just because I've been around 100 years. So I feel like I've met almost everybody. And it was so touching to meet these women and to see that they found a home. So I want to also acknowledge my gay brothers that we make this place where we welcome everybody. We're so open-minded. The gays, they're so open-minded. So I want to say a welcome and a thank you. So I want to do a little bit just to start off our time. I don't even know if you guys can see it, but a little candle. And I just want to start our day with exactly what some of the folks said, is the incredible loss that some of us have come to. And I want to acknowledge that as we're building community, that we also acknowledge that for some of us, it is frightening to build community because we feel like inherent in building community is fear and loss, that we feel like there is this possibility of just more loss, you know, of reconnecting. If I could see everybody, I would ask people to do a show of hands of how many people like lost a partner. So I do retreats called Honoring Our Experience. And what we do every time when we come together is we have a time where we do a sharing and we just ask, let's see what's in the room. Let's see what loss and what resilience. That's a great, like not only the loss, but what is the resilience and the courage that's in the room? And we ask people through a show of hands, how many people have lost a partner during the early days of the epidemic? How many people lost more than one partner? We ask, how many people lost a best friend? How many people lost one? How many people lost two? And then we go all the way down, and then we finally say, how many people in the days of the epidemic lost their whole circle that was their posse of people, the people that they ate Thanksgiving dinner with, the people that they went on vacation with, the people that they planned on growing old with. And we would have 85% of the people with their hands raised, and you would just see how challenging it was to come back into community, that so many of us had been so traumatized and had lost so many loved ones. So I want to acknowledge the incredible importance of coming together as a community, of joining together, of like having that courage of opening ourselves up and coming back. I always say when we come together, I want you to look around the room, look around on the Zoom, and to just acknowledge that we don't only come together for ourselves, for our own benefit, but we come together for the other people that are in the room. We come together for the other people that are on the Zoom. We have no idea what kind of inspiration, what kind of support, what kind of a lift we may give somebody just by sharing a little bit of our story and us being present. So I always like to remember that when we come together, when we're sharing time like this, that it's an act of generosity of coming together. That's an act of kindness of coming together and of being there in support, because we don't know, and especially at this time of Corona, which I was so glad to see stuff on the schedule about this. If we do a show of hands, if you guys can see one another, show of hands of how many people has this been a struggle for? How many people has this been challenging for, to be dealing, to be in the shelter in place and with the masking and the isolating, the physical isolation? Like if you can see one another, just do a show of hands or just reflect on what is this like, this period of time. And what we found in San Francisco with some of the folks, it's like people are having a challenging time. It's challenging to, like, we were just like mastering over the last several years, right? With like, I feel like so many of these long-term survivor groups started just about 6 years ago. It felt like in New York, they started a long-term survivor group at Friends Indeed. San Francisco, I started looking at doing a long-term survivor retreat. At the same time that the AIDS Foundation was starting to do this long-term survivor group, and we were having meetings and looking for like, what were the issues that we wanted to face and deal with long-term survivors. And it just so happened, it seemed like it was like about 6, 7 years ago when we started recognizing that we were really a cohort. We were a community with a shared experience, long-term survivors. So it was so powerful of us coming together. And I want to just acknowledge that this has been a challenging time for people. So coming together like this, it may not be completely satisfying to all of us. I personally find it incredibly I find it incredibly satisfying. Like given that we would either be like making phone calls or seeing each other from across the field, like I love this ability that we immediately picked up on working with Zoom, and that all of us that are probably somewhat technologically challenged, that we were able to come together on Zoom and make it work. I mean, in San Francisco, we were like working on figuring out Zoom the first week that they named shelter in place and that we weren't going to be coming together as groups. So I really love the resiliency of us like figuring out this, like, and clearly I have figured this out. I swear to God, there was gallery view until something changed. But I'm really glad that we have this. And I just want to acknowledge this coming together that we're doing right now, and that especially in this time of COVID, that we look around the screen and that we see one another. If you all can see gallery view, I would just love the people that are having a challenging time with COVID and this shelter in place and this feeling of isolation. Can you just raise your hands and let yourself be seen? And if the folks there can just see one another, and maybe if you know that person or that person's a familiar face, or if you want to send something privately and chat to them, that we just have a sense of connection and seeing one another and being aware that some people are finding this difficult. You know, what my point was I was getting to is that we just kind of got our skills back of going in and being like taking that risk of building community again, of opening up to new friendships, building new friendships at a time when it's challenging to be an older person, which I'm always shocked. I mean, we're lucky to be able to say that, right? Like I still, when I say older person referring to myself, I'm like, really? So I just want to acknowledge that let's take care of each other during this COVID time, during this time when there is some isolating, then there's the safety and the masks, and which can feel like it's so distancing and separating for us, but to recognize that there are ways of coming together like this, and that we can keep that connection going, and that we can reach out and support one another. So I hope that we're able to identify some of the folks that feel like they would like that to be reached out to and to connect with one another. And let's see. Before we, and we're going to go on to the rest of the day. I want to take a moment and just I have a candle lit in the corner here, and just before we start, as our day, a full day of being together, I want to just reflect on the folks that we love and lost. And I'm gonna put on a little bit of music, and I'm gonna read a little meditation. So maybe we take a nice deep breath. We think of the people who, let's dedicate this time to people that we love, that we've lost, maybe a partner, maybe a dear friend, maybe several. And we think of them, and we dedicate this day of coming together in community, of recreating this sense of living this sense of belonging. So here's our meditation that we do every time at Honoring Our Experience. There's a group of people gathered that are committed to creating community, mutual support, leaving no one behind, opening their hearts and being part of a healing bring any shyness or self-doubt as your gift to be offered up. We all walk into this room wanting the same thing, to be seen by another and to see another, to be witnessed, to have our story known and witnessed, and to be appreciated for all that we have walked through. That's the power of a shared experience. That's the power of what we have all walked through, is a sense of that we are known, that even if we're complete strangers, that we are known by one another, by our shared experience. We are known by one another, what we have walked through, that we can honor that, what each of us has walked through. Seen as in felt, heard, understood, held, treasured. That today, that we come together as a community of people, not only seeking for information for ourselves, but recognizing that in coming together, we are doing something positive, contributing, sharing ourselves with one another, that we're making our community stronger just by coming together, just by being here together on this screen and reaching out to one another, a little note in a chat or something, or a little text that you send to a buddy, that there's a power, a healing power in this coming together. And that we take this time, in this quiet time, to just acknowledge yourself for this reaching out and for coming together in community to form a stronger community and to take that risk of being part of a community. Thank you. I wanted to ask if we could have, I don't know how many of the, I would imagine a bunch of the planning committee is here. If we could just do like, give a moment, we just have like 3 more minutes, I noticed. If we could just have someone who was part of the planning committee, just to say what it was like being a part of that planning committee, knowing that you were going to be creating something for the community, bringing the community together. Like, if you can just share what that was. And Jeff, I'm going to leave it up to you because you can see the people.
Yeah, why don't I, this is Jeff Taylor, and this has been really exciting because I think, as Brad mentioned, we had our own event that we typically did in the spring, and then DAP did its event in the fall, which is great because we have such a large long-term survivor community here. And this year, because of COVID, we couldn't do it in the spring and we joined forces. I'm going to call out Jeff Jones because I see his picture there, and if he wants to talk about his experience. Go ahead, Jeff.
Muted and my video.
You're good.
So, well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff Taylor. Well, I kind of came on to this, the committee a little bit later through working with Brad at Gay Desert Guide, but I've worked with all of these folks, you know, for several years at Desert AIDS Project, where I was before, and I was working for the State Office of AIDS. But I mean, it's just, everything is different now. You know, we've all had to adapt to the Zoom environment, and so I was enthusiastic about, you know, this conference going virtual, and so it was a great opportunity to sort of to participate in this, because, you know, this is all new, and who knows how long we'll be doing things like this, but it's like a part of history. And so yeah, I'm just happy to be here to support this.
So I have a confession to make. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
So I just had somebody under 30 come into the room. Okay. I want you to know, I now see a gallery view. So all of these I live in San Francisco, so everyone under 30 is basically the enemy because they're making the rents go sky high. But now he's not the enemy any longer because he came in and he pressed like 40 different times to find the gallery view. So I just want to say that I see you. So I see all the people here. So I just want to say thank you. Hi, Jennifer. It's good to see you. So thank you, everybody. So it looks like it's time, right? Should we pass this back and we go on to the next thing? Is that true, Brad?
That is correct.
We're inviting, one of my tasks was to invite people, if you need to get up and stretch and to go and take a bio break, go take a bio break and we'll see one another throughout the day for the different events. And everybody, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be up now. I'm so glad to be able to see everybody. I was doing it blindfolded.
That's okay, Greg. Thank you very much for starting off our program today. Powerful words. It's a wonderful start. You know, community is so important. We acknowledge that what we're doing today is making each other stronger through this. And again, thank you so much for, again, kicking off today's program.
Thank you.
You're participating in the